with the Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society. I run the education programs, and tonight I am with Keith.
And my name's Keith Wandry, and I work for the City of Cupertino at McClellan Ranch Preserve, and right next to the Audubon.
Yeah, and so today we're doing what we kind of end up doing whenever we meet out on the trail, which is talk about the random things that the passerbys, and in this case the birds, are getting up to.
Should we just talk?
So we've got our white-breasted nuthatch, and it's gone. They do not stick around. These guys certainly do. So we've got our chestnut-backed chickadees here. And these guys are pretty much everywhere. Lesser Goldfinch. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think it was a little confused because they do not feed on millet or sunflower seeds. So it was just a stopping point for that guy. But they're very easily chased off by the chickadees, who are
obnoxious.
Yes. Yeah, willing to throw down.
Here they go.
Zip off. Ooh, and there's our house finch. And at the very background, you can make out that crow.
Crow on the roof. Crow on the roof coming down.
I will admit, I sometimes throw peanuts up on that roof just to get the crows.
And they also use the water.
Oh, yes.
Over there. They use the water.
Continuously. They just drop stuff in those.
Yes. Yes. Oh. Chickadee.
There's always drama with the chickadees. They cannot sit still and they cannot leave it be.
What kind of feeder is this, Carolyn?
So this is, technically speaking, it's a squirrel buster. So the nice thing is we don't have to shoot ground squirrels off of it continuously. But it's filled with mostly sunflowers.
That's April's job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To shoot off the squirrels, particularly. But our white-breasted nuthatch is back and gone again, and once again we've got chickadees fighting. So this is actually we've got a covey of quail that have been hanging around, and I do have to thank Ginger for getting this footage, because whenever I was filming, the quail were not cooperative, because they're jerks. That's the birds.
They've been hanging around over on that lawn area between the old nature center and the blacksmith shop.
Oh.
On the back edge of that. They like that. There's good cover back there for them.
Yeah, they do like to hide. So we're focused mostly on the Niger feeder and the lesser goldfinches that just crowd this feeder. So Niger is a sort of thistle. I'm not sure what this guy has on his foot. It's lesser goldfinch.
I think that's a Nike. He's trying out a shoe.
Got the swoosh on it?
Yeah. I can see it. Oh no, that's a piece of Niger. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a swish.
Close enough. But they just pack onto this thing. And they're not large birds, but I'm still always surprised as to how many they can fit on one feeder, happily.
Yeah, happily is the key, right? Usually it's like a chickadees, or it's like a free for all.
Yeah, chickadees will fight each other, but the goldfinches are pretty chill. Just is nice to see.
Oh, jeez.
In comes our hairy woodpecker.
He is.
And it's contemplating, and here's our mourning doves scaring everybody off because they're big clubs.
Good job. That's what they do. They're kind of like, I don't want to say it for the dove lovers, but they're kind of like oafs. They're not really flight.
No,
they're straight line kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good short burst flight. Hopefully, get away from the Cooper's hawk or the sharp-shinned hawk. But after that, it is a football just hurled through the air. And
Yes,
not
yes.
And then I've exhausted all of my football knowledge, so sports.
And there's Alan Bird down at the bottom walking to the right. You just see him moving.
Yep.
No, that was Alan Bird. Appropriate.
Yeah, well, we've got our song Sparrow popping in. And these guys are very, very stripy. We've got a lovely dark subspecies here. If you're in a different part of the country, it is going to look a little bit different coloration-wise at least, but the markings at least stay the same. It's not like the dark-eyed junco where they just completely change coats.
Yeah, and look how well it blends in too, right?
Yeah.
If it just holds still, it's perfect for that ground cover.
Yeah, and that's really key. And then we've got bottom corner, we've got our golden crowned sparrow. Just arrived for the winter. So they're a migratory species, and in theory, we can always tell it's fall when they arrive, because the weather won't tell you.
And beautiful calls too. They have.
Yeah. That's very true. So your garden just kind of fills up with lovely bird song as our crowned sparrows pop in. They'll just hang around for the whole winter.
Look at that, out of nowhere.
The song sparrow's just going to kick through all of the mulch, finding seeds and bugs. And in the faint background, you can hear the soft beep of construction equipment, which really does get you into the mode of McClellan Ranch at the moment.
I actually thought that was the crow backing up.
They are large birds, so
Yeah. Boy, they can dent your car.
I feel like the the mourning doves would probably benefit more from that alarm system.
Yeah.
Just in terms of mobility. Our ever popular suet feeder.
Ooh, makes me hungry.
Suet's one of those things where you don't want to learn what it's made out of. But the birds love it.
Right. Indeed.
Don't think about it.
Halloween candy.
Yeah. Here's a close-up of our song sparrow. As it lands on the mic.
Oh, nice. Oh, go the birds again.
Yep. But once again, just after somebody walks by, the chickadees are back on the feeders. Because they have zero fear.
No waste of time.
Oh no. It's time for eating. So our lesser goldfinches aren't very colorful at this time of the year, which is kind of a bummer because they're lovely yellow on their chest. But it's wintertime. Things are a little bit more mellow in terms of the bird plumage. We do have some golden crowns that are right front and center. And we'll maybe keep the mourning doves from scaring everybody off. If they're the ones eating the goldfinch scraps. Because as you can see, the goldfinches just make a mess. They are throwing seed.
Yeah, you'll often see a lot of towhees and other birds down on the ground hiding in the bushes beneath these.
They're just going after scraps.
Yes, yeah. That's why it's important, like having vegetation under there also for them to hide in while they're eating seeds down there.
Yeah, that ground cover is absolutely key, especially because we do have Coopers and Sharpshin and hawks that will occasionally pass through. So that ground cover is really what's keeping the feeders out in the open like this from becoming a hawk buffet.
There was a Cooper's the other day that was going after a young crow.
Oh, I bet that had the entire mob up in a tizzy.
Yes.
Sorry, not mob, murder. Group of crows is referred to as murder because it's October. Happy Halloween, folks.
And ignore the sign beneath the feeder. It says stop, keep going.
Yeah, no. When you're a bird, you're illiterate, and signs mean nothing.
That's right.
And even if they could read, I don't think they would care.
No.
Little anarchists.
Rebellious little buggers.
They do not care. It's great. Especially the chickadees. And I keep going back to that, but they use most of our nest boxes, and they're punks about it. They'll just sit up in a tree right behind your head as you're checking a box for like eggs, and just curse up a storm at you.
Outraged.
Absolutely.
Uh-oh. Okay. Who's... Oh, it's Mr. Yellow.
Who's going to visit this feeder here? Yay!
Oh!
Red mouse! They're adorable.
Nice little crown on their heads.
Yep. It's really the distinguishing feature, other than their general nondescriptness. Chickadees complain about it.
Sounds like they're playing the slot machines.
I feel like birds, if they had an equivalent Vegas, they would spend most of their time there.
Well, every time they're feeder, they're gambling.
Yeah.
Especially when they're that visible, right?
There's like straight up game theory in play with foraging strategies. Never really wanted to delve into the nitty gritty of that. I just love that the goldfinches are always just so polite. And they just give each other space, and they're very relaxed, right next to each other.
No crowding, no competition.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like, chickadees will flail everybody off.
So I wonder if you'd see the same behavior in the breeding season. Nope.
Probably a bit more territoriality.
Yeah, I would guess. Yeah.
So as I was filming this, and the reason the camera occasionally just judders, is the chickadees decided to start landing on the camera. And the mic line too, so that was always really fun. They'd get nice and close on top of the camera.
Oh, that's on the base of the feeder, huh?
Yep.
Mic.
Oh, lovely little mouse woodpecker. So no stripe on the back, which means it is not a downy, it is not a hairy. And this is a she, because she doesn't have any red on her head.
Yep.
And you need to go lower down to your peanuts.
Still figuring it out. Oh.
Think about it.
That's right.
Camera shot.
Yeah. Always go for the peanuts behind the feeder. That's
That's how you ensure the best shot.
That's right. Absolutely right.
And she's gone.
Beautiful bird. Beautiful birds.
Oh yeah. You know, once you get woodpeckers in your neighborhood, that opens up a whole bunch of habitat for other songbirds, like the chestnut-backed chickadee and the oak titmouse, because they'll literally carve out nesting spots for those other songbirds. You can, yeah. See, once again, we've got chickadees being jerks. And I was always hoping I'd get a deer in the background, but they were just as camera shy as the woodpeckers are. But there's some bucks with some decent packs of antlers on them.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen two bigger bucks with the full antlers and a lot of young ones, and you'll see them running around, and they usually kind of walk in the order of their pecking order of dominance, right? So usually you have a big one with a bunch of small ones trailing behind it, and they always kind of go in the same order. And we did have a fight out there a few years ago between there were two big ones, and one of them actually got gouged in the eye and died. So we found that the day after the bout. But that's what they do, right? So
that's what they're grown for.
yes. But then there were turkey vultures. So
turkey vultures, and then the next day it was picked clean by the coyotes.
Yeah, it was pretty much gone in no time at all. Nature's pretty amazing. So.
Yeah, the cleanup crew is really evident. They get on it fast.
Yes. No time of wasting.
See, this chickadee just threw a bunch of seeds down on the ground and then left. But we've got a nice close-up of a male house finch with that rosy wash. There's a pair of them. They actually get that from their food, which is really cool. You can kind of tell who's got their stuff together based on how colorful they are, because they're actually managing to feed themselves. It's a song sparrow again. So the fun experiment with this was figuring out where to place the mic so the birds wouldn't land on it. And at this point, the bird is just landing on the stalk of plant that the mic was placed on. Continuously.
Inevitable.
Yeah.
See who's over on the far side over there.
Oh yeah. Looks like a white-crowned sparrow back there.
Yeah.
Oh yes. So this was slowed down for identification purposes, because that was a dark-eyed junco chasing a very confused lesser goldfinch. Apparently the goldfinch got a little bit too close while the junco was feeding on the thistle. But normally they're ground birds. There's our junco. Decided to try to pursue it. It's a little bit more energy efficient at this point.
Hello again.
Animals again. I think suet's probably one of the best feeders. Like if you have to pick one type of feeder to get the largest diversity of birds, it's pretty hard to go wrong with suet.
I'd agree with that.
Once again, though, do not look at the ingredients.
No.
And wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Yeah. Wash your hands after eating it. Oh no! Don't eat it. No.
Don't eat it. Don't eat it.
Finches enjoying themselves.
We've got a nice, bright male lesser goldfinch on the thistle feeder right up top there. Which does give you a little bit of an impression of just how colorful they can be.
Yep.
Give them a titmouse that just lit out. It is fun to see how their flights change with the wind picking up, though. Doesn't take a lot to make them take some very interesting routes when they're flying.
Carolyn, have you ever seen a snake go up one of these? A feeder?
You know, I haven't. The gopher snakes could probably manage it. And that's why we've got the stovepipe baffles on the nest boxes out in the meadow. And this one does have a baffle on it, but I'm not sure that it would be large enough to stop one of the larger gopher snakes.
Yeah, there's a walnut tree over by the barn, and one day I was out there and I saw the Buick's wren land on a stick in front of a hole, and it was just flustered beyond belief. And just, agonizingly frustrated. And I had my camera and I zoomed in and exposed it so I could see in the hole, and I saw the side of a gopher snake. I went back the next day and there was still some chicks in there. I don't know how many the gopher snake ate, but it was amazing to see because it was probably 5, almost 6 feet up off the ground, above the ground. But it just shows you how smart the snakes are. They can watch and taste their way towards whatever they want to eat. So
this downy woodpecker. And he's gorgeous, and he's tiny, and he does not look like something that should be able to dig into trees, because he's just pretty similarly sized to the oak titmice that we've been seeing. But we've got a really good variety of woodpeckers that show up here.
Yes. There was actually out on the creek trail, there was an area where apparently a bunch of them had just come out and were exploring, and they were very, they're going to every branch, pecking at every little thing on the branch, but they were so focused on that you could take photographs of them and watch them and their behaviors. They weren't the jumpy, got to get out of here really quick type birds, right? And you can imagine the parent up in the tree screaming at them, going, "Now, move quick! You're spending too long," right? So, yes. Next branch. So
sometimes the young birds are just really bad at that. They just don't have the situation awareness.
Yeah.
So you did mention the bottoms of the feeders is where we get to see a lot of our ground foraging birds earlier.
Yes.
So this is directly at the base of the feeders. And what's raining down is the remnants of the meals of mostly the lesser goldfinches. So we've got a golden crowned sparrow here, munching on some of those scraps. But right at the top corner, you can see one of our ground squirrels.
Yep.
They're everywhere.
Now, do you ever, since there's so many ground squirrels around, do you see any problems with them getting up to the feeders very often?
Yeah. So we've managed to find something of a solution. Or at least they've given up. So there is a baffle to keep them from climbing up, but at this point the vegetation is so high that if they can get on top of those bushes, they can pretty much just go around it. But that is why we've got the squirrel buster feeders on the sunflower and the peanut feeder.
Okay.
The way those are designed is the weight just kind of closes it off for them.
Right. Yeah, and these are ground squirrels too, so different. The tree squirrels are a little bit different to deal with. They're pretty acrobatic.
Oh yeah. One of them ran off with a suet feeder once. I'm not kidding. There's a reason we've got clip locks on our suet feeders, because the tree squirrels would either tear them open and run off with an entire block of suet, or they'd just take the whole feeder with them. Which is hilarious to watch the first time and just incredibly frustrating every time after.
They're hugely skilled.
Yes. And they are tenacious. They will keep trying until they've completely exhausted themselves or figured it out.
And defeated you once again.
Yeah. Congratulations, you've lost to a rodent. So Keith, I just wanted to thank you for joining me with this. This was a lot of fun. Always great to talk wildlife with you. I also want to put in a brief plug on our website, SCVAS.org. We've got a fantastic page for backyard birding. It's all the resources you need to figure out your feeder setup, learn about the birds you're going to be spotting, and you can actually share some of your experiences with watching your feeders and finding birds in your backyard. So I really encourage people to check that out, whether you're just starting with feeders or you're just starting to notice the birds coming to your feeders. It's a really fantastic resource.